How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rotom Rally, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about 11 different things that you can do in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield after you completed the base story. So once you've completed the games, all the gyms, and basically the Elite Four, quote-unquote, or rather the Champions League, once you've completed all of that and you've defeated Leon, what can you do after all of that? So I thought we'd take a look at that. There's 11 different things I've listed here, or put together for this list, rather. So I thought we'd go through each one of them, talk about them, see what they are, and how much fun you can have with them. So let's get started with the first thing on this list, which is to do the post-game. So yeah, there is a post-game in these games. There is actually a straight-up post-game. And what is the post-game like? Well, there's about 2 hours of post-game you can do. This is all kind of explained to you as soon as you finish the game. You know, you just do the general stuff. You'll get usually sent back home to your, to where you start from, like, your actual home in the Pokemon, like, region of Galar. You'll just send back to Postwick, and then you'll just kind of get started with the, story again. It'll just tell you on the map where to go, what to do, and also in the post-game is where you get your hands on the legendaries, right? That's where you get your hands on Zacian or Zamazenta. I won't go further into it, but basically that's where usually tends to happen. So if you want to get your hands on those guys, you will have to do the post-game no matter what. So that's one of the first things you can do once you've completed the base version of Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. So yeah, definitely a worthwhile thing to do, definitely a worthwhile feature there, and definitely something that you should do once you've completed the base game. So that's one of the first things. Now, next up on the 10th spot is shiny hunting. So the 11th was the previous one, this is the 10th spot. So shiny hunting, ladies and gentlemen, shiny hunting, a feature that has been in Pokemon ever since Gold and Silver, is also available in these games. There are two different methods for shiny hunting currently that are known of. There is a Masuda method, which is basically to breed eggs between two different eggs, one from either a, from your country and one from a different country with a different ID, and that way you can get, a higher chance for a shiny Pokemon. It increases by actually a pretty decently, large amount. So you can do that, or if you don't want to do that, you can do the brand new catching slash, actually battling method, which is basically to combo battles by basically defeating the same Pokemon over and over again until you get a certain amount of, battles total, or a certain amount of battles in a combo, which will then increase your chances for a shiny. So shiny hunting is available in these games. There's probably also some sort of shiny hunting that can be done through max raids and stuff, and that sort of stuff, but it's not really that well known yet. But for now, that is the thing that you can do, and actually that will lead us pretty well into the next thing that you can do in these games, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is max raid battles. Yes, max raid battles are this new feature in the open world, and this is actually kind of a thing that I want to put together, the open world as well, like the wild area plus the actual max raid battles together are probably the best features from this game. They are the most best parts about these games, honestly. The things that only really make these games worthwhile in any sense are these two features, right? The open world wild area as well as the max raid battles. Now, max raid battles, you can join it with friends, you can do it with NPCs. It is a great feature in a way to get good Pokemon. If you're looking to get a Pokemon that's really strong, it's a really, really good way to do things. Honestly, it's really worthwhile, and that's why it's on this list, and it's, on this spot. I mean, the list doesn't really, we're not going through these in any particular, order, but it is not on the list though, and this is actually the I think the 9th one on the list. So we have 9, I guess 8 more or so to go. But yeah, definitely a worthwhile thing to do. The max raid battles are really fun, and also they are very rewarding. If you do max raid battles, you always get rewarded with some sort of I'm not sure about the exact amounts of them or which ones in particular, but you always get rewarded with EXP candy or XP share candy or EXP share. No, I'm not sure EXP share, but basically EXP candy, you're rewarded with that. So it's worthwhile just for that itself, because then you can use that EXP, candy and just level up your other Pokemon. You also sometimes also get rare candies as well as a bunch of moves, and just really a mixture of things that I will say is really worth it for you to have, because it's a worthwhile mixture of things. It's a worthwhile mixture of Pokemon to get in your team. So definitely a worthwhile feature, I will say. Definitely worthwhile checking out as well. So yeah, max raid battles, definitely one of the things to do in the post game after you completed the base game. So what else do we have? Well, this one is actually the same thing as max raid battles, but the next one on the list, which is going to be number 8, is going to be hunting for Gigantamax Pokemon. Now, what is different between this and max raid battles themselves, which is what we meant to mention previously? Well, hunting for Gigantamax Pokemon is a little bit different because you're hunting for very rare Pokemon. Gigantamax Pokemon are much, much rarer. There are actually 3 Pokemon, though, which are not as rare, which is Gigantamax Butterfree, as well as Dreadnought and Corviknight, which are currently in the brand new event that's going going on for the release of these games. During the release of these games, these 3 Pokemon in particular will be able to get caught as Gigantamax Pokemon much more likely, and will not be as hard to find, whereas the other Gigantamax Pokemon, which there are quite a few of actually, like there's, Charizard, for example, which you also can get easily, but, there's other ones like, Centiskorch and, Machamp, Gengar, Lapras, etc. Those also exist, and if you want to get those, you'll have to go around hunting for them, which is pretty difficult and does take a quite long amount of time. So there is always that to do in the post game, but that's that one. Let's get to the next one, which is going to be completing your Pokedex. Now, why would you want to complete your Pokedex? Well, there's also that accomplishment level of like doing it, and now considering that these Pokedex is actually missing a lot of Pokemon, it is a lot easier to complete it, so you will be able to complete it fairly easily. I mean, the only problem you might have is just the trade part of the dex, like the Pokemon that are tradable, that you need to get through the other version of the game that you may not have. If you have both versions, then you're fine, but if you don't have the other version, like if you have Sword but don't have Shield, you'll need to trade over the exclusives, so you'll just have to find someone that can trade with you. Unfortunately, there is no GTS in these games, which is really annoying actually, but due to that fact, you'll just have to find people that maybe, just try to make some friends and just try to find people on Discords and stuff to trade with. Just try to find someone that'll be willing to trade you the Pokemon that you need, because honestly, beyond that, there isn't really no other way to do it. But honestly, in general though, for the post game, completing the Pokedex is one of the most useful things, because you'll also be rewarded with the shiny charm, which is useful for shiny hunting because it increases your chances by a large amount, and you can only get it if you complete the Pokedex and then head over to the hotel up in one of the, I think about the sixth gym. If you head to the hotel there, you can talk to a Game Freak employee who will give you the shiny hunting charm, and it's really worthwhile for shiny hunting. So completing the Pokedex is worthwhile in that sense, and also just in general, just having a complete Pokedex is pretty nice. So yeah, definitely a worthwhile thing to do, definitely worthwhile in general, and definitely a thing to do in the post game. So that's that. What's the next thing? Well, breeding Pokemon for the best IV Pokemon. So breeding is in these games. There is still like daycares and that sort of stuff in the game that you can go to, where you can basically just put in your Pokemon and breed them to get the best stats possible that can then be used for different things like, most likely just competitive battling. So definitely breeding Pokemon is a worthwhile thing to get the best IVs, but also that leads us into the next thing to do in the post game, which is competitive battling. Why is competitive battling worthwhile, and why is it on this list? Well, because it is one of the most useful things to do in these games, because there is a brand new and really improved battling ranked system. There is a new ranked system which gives you a proper rank that is actually really neat. The way they've set it up, the whole system and all that, actually works really well, and it's a lot better than previous Pokemon ranked systems. So just in terms of competitive, the new ranking system there is just generally speaking better. So it's worthwhile to do that just for the sake of just checking out this new way of competitive battling. And of course, there's a brand new meta, so you can try out a lot of different teams and see what works and what doesn't. You basically have a lot more options to work with, and see what works out and what doesn't, this time around, because everything is a little bit fresh, and there's, of course, missing Pokemon, so it means that you'll have to work around with what is there, to use. Of course, a little bit sad, of course, the missing Pokedex, but not really much we can do about it right now. But beyond that, though, in general, this is like an opportunity for you to try out different teams and see what happens, and of course, it's early on in the game, so really worthwhile to do this right now if you want to. If you're finished with the game, you got nothing else to do, this is definitely one of the things you can always try out, and it's definitely worthwhile. And also matches well with some of the other things we mentioned here, like Gigantamax battles and that sort of stuff. Being able to find these things, they'll be useful for you in competitive battling. But competitive battling this time around has gotten a lot of improvements and a lot of changes, and it's really worthwhile checking out. So definitely one of the most useful things to do. Now, number 4 is going to be the Battle Tower. So the Battle Tower, ladies and gentlemen, is a brand new feature. It is, brand new. It's really similar to old features, but it is basically, actually, I'm not sure if it's even really new, to be honest, but this is something that you can also access only in the post game. It's in Winden up here, as you guys can see. All you gotta do is enter, and then what you can do with this place is to battle a bunch of NPCs, and you get rewarded with BP, and this is basically the same as it's been in previous game. I don't know why I said it's new. It's not really new. It's the same as before, but basically you get rewarded with BP, which you can then use to buy things from the BP shop. Now, what are these things? Well, it's usually items that will be useful for you in terms of competitive. So if you want to build a competitive team, you will need to get these items through the use of basically this new BP system. So you'll have to just grind through a bunch of battles in here, get the BP points, and then buy the things that you need. You can also use this to buy the mints. Now, these mints are used to change a Pokemon's nature. So if there's a Pokemon you really like in your team that you really like using, but you don't like the nature on it, using those will be really useful as a way to get the perfect Pokemon, or keep using a Pokemon that you already have, but you don't, want to catch another one that's just got better IVs. Well, basically just stopping you from having to force yourself to go and breed for the best IV Pokemon. So you can do that through the battle tower. It's a worthwhile effort if you want to get, you know, one of your Pokemon that you have in your team that you really like playing through the game with, but you don't really want to get rid of it because you want to use it in competitive. But if you want to use it, it's not going to work because it probably just has, like, you know, not worthwhile IVs. So you just have to do something like that. But yeah, like EVs, IVs, whatever, you get the point. But yeah, basically a worthwhile effort in just that sense to do the battle tower. And also there's a few smaller, like, story secret type stuff in there hidden as well, so it's worthwhile checking out for that sense. But that's that one. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the Rotom Rally. So Rotom Rally is a new feature in these games that is only available in the open world area, in the wild area, so to say. Now, Rotom Rally in itself is basically a new mini game that you do where you have to race through the wild area. You get rewarded at the end with watts, so if you want to just get a bunch of watts, I think this might be a worthwhile thing to do. To basically do this, you just go to this guy right here, just go to Rotom Rally, or really any of the kind of like people that are within the wild area. You just talk to one of them and they'll give you the mission to do, and it'll just tell you, like, you know, hey, there you go, and then you just do a race, and the race is pretty straightforward. You know, just drive through these balloons and make it all the way till the end within a specific time frame, and it's pretty safe, like, you know, self-explanatory, pretty simple, you know, not that hard or difficult to understand, you know, just pretty straightforward, to be frankly honest. It's just pretty straightforward. It actually is pretty fun, I've got to be honest, like right here. Like this one, I just missed that one, but that's fine. But yeah, there you go, finished. So it's a pretty fun thing. It's a pretty small little thing that exists in the game. Just a little mini game, and it's something you can do in the post game if you want to. It's not necessary and you're not forced to do it, but it is something that is there. So that's that one. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the camping feature. So camping, Pokemon Camp, is a new feature in these games as well. It's very similar to Pokemon Ami, where basically you can interact with your Pokemon, you can play with them, you can do a lot of different things. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, not too difficult to understand, but this is also number 2 on our spot. There is one more thing you can do here, which is the next thing, and the 11th, basically, or the last thing on this list, or the first thing on the list, I guess. I'm not really sure how to put it, but basically my point is, Pokemon Camp is here, and within Pokemon Camp, we have another feature, a brand new one, which is cooking. So cooking is basically where you make your own curries, and what's really cool about this is that you can actually even also complete your curry deck. So this is something you can do in your, you know, in the post game if you want to. You can go in here and try to complete your curry decks. For example, I have a few things already here in mine, which, you know, like, you know, there they are, and then you can try to get better and better taste ratings each and every single time, and just keep doing cooking until you get the perfect recipe and whatever you may want to aim for. So this is another really cool thing you can do. Also interacting with your Pokemon within the, you know, Pokemon Camp itself is pretty neat, so you got that as well, you know, to do. But yeah, basically those, ladies and gentlemen, are the features. I hope you guys, you know, did enjoy this video, and I hope you guys will try out some of this stuff if you don't, you know, unless you have like other things to do, if you can figure out anything else beyond that. But these are the 11 things that you can do in Pokemon Sword and Shield post game, you know, just, you know, once you've completed the games, like, you know, things to do. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for future videos, and have a good one, and bye bye, ladies and gentlemen.